Welcome into today's New Orleans Saints mailbag with questions coming in from our live show. That is every single Wednesday afternoon throughout the offseason. I'm going to be live with my guy, producer Seatman, and we're going to be talking New Orleans Saints for about an hour, hour and a half every Wednesday. So I encourage you to tune in so you can be a part of a future mailbag. Don't forget to subscribe. Turn on your notifications. Let's dive into it. First one coming in from the scariest thing I've ever seen, the King Baby. I'm going to get to this question here in a second, but is there anything more horrifying than that King Baby mascot? I don't think so. I love it, for the record. I think it's awesome, but I see that in my nightmares. Anyway, any chance the Saints could land Tee Higgins? So, long story short, I don't think so, but we do know that in the NFL and to the New Orleans Saints, salary cap isn't real. Money doesn't exist, and it's all toy money, just like Monopoly. So I want to talk about Tee Higgins' production here real quick before I talk about whether or not he could be a fit and he could come to New Orleans. The production speaks for itself. 42 receptions, 656 yards, averaging over 15.5 yards per catch, 5 touchdowns this past season. He had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, averaging 13.9 and 14.7 with 7 touchdowns, 6 touchdowns. The dude is productive. The dude is a stud, and I love this player. And here is a possible wide receiver group he could join. He could join the likes of Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, and A.T. Perry, who are really dynamic football players. That being said, I don't think that the Saints have the money to pay Tee Higgins. I think that he deserves wide receiver 1 money, and I think that he is going to get that in the offseason, in free agency. Could he stick around in Cincinnati? Maybe. But I also do think that the Saints have bigger needs than to go and make a splash signing in free agency. So I would rather not sign Tee Higgins. I would rather use that on like a splash offensive lineman, maybe, or a defensive lineman, like an edge rusher. But I don't know. It could happen, but I think it's not going to happen. I mean, you got over $80 million over the cap right now. So would you sign Tee Higgins like you see up here? It's the offseason. Have fun. Like, if you guys are going to be super serious about a question somebody had, just get over it. It's offseason. Let's have some fun here. Shout out Producer Seeps for popping this one up. Would you sign Tee Higgins? Give me an S for sign or a P for pass. All right, Colin's asking, it's Karate Kid. They have a show about it on Netflix. Cobra Kai. That's what it is. Man, we just spent a whole 30 seconds talking about Cobra Kai on the mailbag. Let's get back to it. Trade AK and Thomas for draft capital or a defensive or offensive lineman. So I'm going to say this right now. You can't trade Michael Thomas. He will be a free agent. Saints are likely moving off of him this offseason anyway. Alvin Kamara is a little bit more of an intriguing option. I don't know what he could get in return. In my opinion, it's going to be one of those things. It's how much does the team trading for him value Kamara? Obviously, you need some offensive and defensive line help, but like if it came down to draft capital, it feels like a 3rd-round pick for Kamara might be the best you get. Like, he is aging a little bit. He's losing his step a little bit. He's an expensive player with an expensive contract, and that's something that teams are going to know and they're going to look at when they do come up with a trade package. So you can't trade Michael Thomas. I don't know if I would trade Alvin Kamara because I like him as a player, and I think that he is a good fit right now. But I do agree. You need to address the offensive and defensive line. All right, Ethanol says Brock Bowers or Jerrod Verse. Jerrod Verse. I'm going to just right there. Brock Bowers, I think is a great football player. But my question is, where would he fit in on the Saints? You have Taysom Hill, Jerrod Johnson, and Foster Moreau that line up as tight ends. Eventually, you run out of space. Like, you can't. If you go get Brock Bowers, you're going to have to move on from a Foster Moreau. You're going to have to move on from a Jerrod Johnson. I don't think you'd ever move on from Taysom Hill, but I think Jerrod Verse fits a much more important need and a much more immediate need for the Saints. I think they addressed tight end last offseason. They needed to last offseason. They brought back Jerrod Johnson. They signed Foster Moreau. They have Taysom Hill as well, who can line up in tight end, who can do literally anything, but I don't know if I would draft Brock Bowers. That being said, if they did draft him, I'd be pretty happy about the pick. So Here's 5 reasons why you should subscribe before we dive into a few more questions from you guys. We got interactive content all throughout the offseason and the regular season. We break down breaking news, rumors, coaching searches, offensive coordinator searches, any updates around the NFC South. We're talking about them. This is your one-stop shop for New Orleans Saints and NFC South updates. You got live offseason coverage. This was filmed as a part of our first live coverage for the 2024 offseason. It's a lot of fun. We already have $200 in super chats, and we're about to throw back a few drinks. So if you guys want to join us in future live shows and get Saints videos by Saints fans for Saints fans, join the channel, subscribe, because it's 100% free. Next question coming in from Baby O. Would you say that David Carr is better than Derek Carr? Also, please give me a shout out. Well, one of them is in the NFL right now, and one of them is not. So I'm going to go with Derek Carr. But shout out to Baby O. Thank you for your question. I appreciate you for asking. And thank you, of course, for being a wonderful subscriber to our channel. All right, next one coming in. Saint Nick. I like your little picture, man. Would you trade Alvin Kamara? Oh, wait, I get it. Saint Nick like Santa Claus, and then he's a Saints fan. That's pretty good. Would you trade Alvin Kamara away? So kind of similar to the last question about Alvin Kamara. I'm keeping him because I think that this draft class absolutely blows. Blake Corum is running back 1, I think. I don't really know, but did he get hurt? That's my point. Can you give me 5 stellar running backs right now who would make an impact? If you wanted to draft a running back, or if you wanted to go get a running back that's young, last offseason was the chance to do it when you had Bijan and Jahmyr Gibbs and a bunch of other really talented cats. I think that I would keep Alvin Kamara. I don't like what this draft class has to offer. And at the end of the day, he's a Saints legend. Let Alvin Kamara just continue to cook and do his thing. Because when you gave him the ball in open space, it felt like he was, when you let him do his thing, it felt like he still had a little bit of a pop. He still had that step. So I'm keeping Kamara, but I want you guys to let me know on social media if you would agree, if you disagree, if you think that trading Alvin Kamara is a bad idea, if you think trading Alvin Kamara is a great idea. I encourage you to let me know on social media. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter. I have 1,700 followers there. I'm trying to build my following up a little bit, trying to get to 2,000 followers. On Instagram, approaching 2,000 followers. So let's see, which one can we get to 2K first? Instagram or Twitter? What's going to happen first? And then also, I'm on TikTok posting a lot of shorts and short form content. So if you guys want to see more short videos and more content around your New Orleans Saints, I got you all 3 major platforms. Feel free to hit me up. It's at TraceGerard48 on all 3 of those to make it easy for you. All that information in the comment section and description as well. You can also find a link to get some Saints jerseys in the comment section as well. Go to chatsports.com/Saints jerseys. Michael Thomas might be on the way out, but Chris Olave is going to be around for a while. If you want to get a Mike Thomas jersey because he's not going to be around or he may not be around, this may be your last chance to get a Saints Michael Thomas jersey. So use our code right in our link right below. It's in the comment section description of the video. We got men's, we got women's, we got all sizes, we got all colors, we got a ton of players. We got it all. Shop at chatsports.com/Saints jerseys. All right. $20 coming in from When It Rains, It Pours. Should we fire Dennis Allen or super fire him? So I made a promise that I was done talking about fire Dennis Allen, but Rain sent in $20, so I'm going to talk about it. I think the Saints should fire Dennis Allen. They will not, though. They're going to keep him. They're going to run it back with DA. Mickey Loomis has defended him time and time again. I don't think the Saints are smart for keeping Dennis Allen at the helm, but I do understand why they want to keep him around. Credit where it's due, they were looking a lot better the back half of the season. Those last few games especially, they looked like a completely different unit. If it's up to me, though, I'm firing him, and then I'm super firing him, and then, yeah, I just don't want Dennis Allen around anymore. But like I said, he's going to be around, so there's no point in talking about it. Kevin, next one coming in from you, brother. Safety is going to be a problem soon. When do you think it may be addressed? So I actually think that the Saints are in a better spot at safety than people might think. Sure, Tyrann Mathieu's getting a little bit older, but you drafted Jordan Howden, who's been really good. Jonathan Abram, maybe the Saints bring him back and run it back with him, and that could he was productive. He hasn't been amazing, but he was productive for the Saints, and I think that New Orleans does a great job of getting the best out of their DBs, especially when they're not playing at the highest level they, possibly could be. So I think that they will address the safety position because you do need to eventually address Marcus Maye. Tyrann Mathieu is getting older. I could see them maybe adding a safety in free agency, like a lower tier guy, maybe drafting a late round guy as well. But I think next offseason is going to be the time when they're more in the market for a safety. I just think that they're going to run it back with the likes of Jordan Howden, Tyrann Mathieu, Jonathan Abram this next season. So thank you for the question, Kevin. Next one coming in from Kermit. You know what he says? Acknowledge me! Acknowledge the frog, and that we're doing, brother. Saints, can we all agree that Gruden would be a detriment to the team? The Saints don't need to try to retread old tracks. We need something new that matches what the current NFL teams are doing. Kermit, I 100% agree with you for the record. I think that there are worse options than Jon Gruden, but I think that there's more better options. I think there's, let's say, 10 options that are worse than Jon Gruden. Let's say there's 100 options that are better than Jon Gruden. I don't know if the Saints are going to go bring him in. He has that pending lawsuit. That's kind of going on, so we'll see what happens with all that. But shout out, dude, Seeps is on his game today. So Joe Brady, G.J. Kinney, Zach Robinson, Jerrod Johnson, and Clint Kubiak, those are all guys that the New Orleans Saints could go and hire as their offensive coordinator. Those are my top picks for the hire. I agree. Jon Gruden would be more of a distraction. I think that he's just too old. Like, he hasn't been in the NFL for a while. I get it. Carr played his best ball under Gruden, but I'm in the boat of I'd rather just let it run and go bring in a new, young, creative mind, not an old, stubborn, uncreative, unsuccessful offensive mind. But, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to our mailbag. I appreciate you guys for hanging out with us. If you want to be a part of the next one, I encourage you to subscribe. Hit that big red button. You'll subscribe, and then you turn on your notifications. That way you never miss a thing when we go live. Shout out to you for watching the video. Y'all stay golden. See you next time.